Here is a typical situation where I've positioned a ladder in front of a window so I can clean the window, but I find that the ladder won't sit comfortably flat on the ground. Now sometimes the solution to that is to kick a bit of dirt around so that the ground itself is level. Here, because there are some plants, I'd want to avoid doing that. And so normally what I do in this situation is look for something that I can use to position under the leg of one of the legs of the ladder in order to level it. There's actually a brick right, that brick was, I promise you, sitting right there. Now that might be useful in this situation, although it's a little bit big. So let's walk back. I'm extremely lucky today because this garden bed has, almost as though they knew I was coming, there are half bricks and bricks, so I should be able to easily level that ladder using whichever half bricks or bricks that I need. In fact, these are more like a third bricks. So if we come back to the ladder, use one of these third bricks, and I think that's all we need. I think that's going to make the ladder, although not perfectly steady, in fact I might pull it out a little bit, it makes it, I think, safe enough for me to work. Often I'm not actually so lucky. Often I can't find a brick. I walk all the way around the garden and I can't find a brick, but sometimes I might find a stick, piece of wood, I might find a stone which is an appropriate shape, and quite often, it's amazing how often I find something that I can use to level the ladder to make it safe. Okay, now I was able to do that without any problem whatsoever. Perfectly safe, really very steady. Now bear in mind this is a fairly short ladder, and I didn't have to climb very high. Now if you're in a situation where you're using, say, an extension ladder, and you're sticking something under the ladder to make the ladder straight, you have to be doubly careful. You have to be more and more careful the higher up that ladder goes. But you're not creating you're actually not creating a hazard rather than making your work safe. Now my extension ladder actually has a built-in leg leveler, so I'm not really, if I'm using my extension ladder, I'm never in a situation where I have to stick something on the bottom of it. But just keep that in mind. The purpose is safety, not danger. Okay, going right back where they belong. Looks like this fella has more. Now here is a typical situation where there's a window above a garden bed, and it was very difficult because of the sloping driveway here. It was very difficult to position the ladder safely so that I could take the screen off, clean the window, put the screen back on, all of that. So I'll give you a close look at what I've done. Okay, so on the left side I've got quite a nice solid looking, I guess I'll call it a brick. It's more like a paver I suppose, but I'll call it a brick. So I've got a brick on one side because it's like the driveway slopes down, and then on the other side, which is much lower, I've got on one side I've got 2 bricks, on the other I've got 2 bricks plus a part of a ramp, a ramp that I've cut in half. I've lost the other half actually, but the ramp comes in useful. And if I show you side on, you'll see that the ladder is actually vertical. I've made it vertical, so it's not sort of tilted, you know, away from the window, which would be worse than having it tilted towards the window. But it's much better having it straight, very vertical, and high enough that I can reach the window when I stand at the top. So, you know, I find this sort of solution very satisfactory. It means that and also when I position the bricks, I shake the ladder around a bit just to check that it's solid, and as I climb on the ladder, I'm being very careful to feel whether it is safe and secure, it's not wobbling in any way. And so bricks can come in handy, and so can little rubber ramps that you can get from the hardware store.